ഇന്ത്യൻ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യ സമര ചരിത്രത്തിലെ തിളങ്ങുന്ന അധ്യായമാണ് വീര സവർക്കറുടെ ജീവിതം. 14 വർഷം കൽത്തുറങ്കിലും 13 വർഷം വീട്ടുതടങ്കലിലും കിടന്ന ധീര ദേശാഭിമാനി വീര സവർക്കറെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള ഏറ്റവും പുതിയ പുസ്തകമാണ് വീർ സവർക്കർ ദ മാൻ കുഡ് ഹാവ് പ്രിവെന്റഡ് പാർട്ടീഷൻ. മുതിർന്ന മാധ്യമപ്രവർത്തകൻ ഉദയ് മഹുർക്കറാണ് പുസ്തകം എഴുതിയത്. ഉദയ് മഹുർക്കറുമായി ജനം TV വെബ് ചീഫ് PS സന്തോഷ് നടത്തിയ അഭിമുഖം കാണാം.
നമസ്തേ. ഭാരതത്തിൻ്റെ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യ സമര ചരിത്രത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും നിർണായകമായ വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങളിൽ ഒന്ന് വീര സവർക്കർ. സവർക്കറെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള പുതിയ പുസ്തകം ശ്രീ ഉദയ് മഹുർക്കർജി നമുക്ക് പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തുകയാണ്. നമസ്തേ ഉദയ്ജി. വെൽക്കം ടു ജനം TV. In what aspects Savarkar is differentiate from nationalist, revolutionary, but in your book you told the man could have prevented partition. Why you write such book about Savarkar? Because everybody knows about he's a revolutionary, he's a nationalist, he's a poet, and he's that everything about Indian nationalist movement. But you wrote about the man who prevented partition. Why such title for the book?
Actually, his entire fight to prevent partition has not come in public domain. I think he was the person who did the most to fight India's partition, to prevent India's partition. What were the factors behind India's partition? One, the communal campaign of Muslim League. Two, the Muslim appeasement policies of the Congress. And third, Congress's principle of total non-violence. These three were the main factors which led to India's partition. And Savarkar came into the political field in 1937 after 14 years of rigorous imprisonment and 13 years of internment in Ratnagiri. Correct?
Yes.
He was invited by Congress leaders that you join Congress. Subhash Chandra Bose was one of the leaders who invited Savarkar to join Congress. But Savarkar said that Congress has gone so far ahead on the path of Muslim appeasement,
Yes.
that it cannot come back. And to do in Bharatvarsha, to do Muslim appeasement at the cost of Hindu rights is betrayal of the nation.
Yes.
Therefore, he chose to join a small party and become the president of Hindu Mahasabha. At that time he issued two statements. One, he said, it is better to stand in the last row of patriots than the first row of nationalists who are betraying the nation by indulging in Muslim appeasement at the cost of Hindu rights. Second thing he said, he gave a message to the Muslim community as a Hindu leader. He said, Muslim brothers, if you want to join the fight for freedom, you are welcome, we will fight together. If you don't want to fight join this struggle, then also we will fight. And if you oppose our struggle for freedom, then also we will fight for the freedom of the country.
That famous quotation, if you come with...
Yes.
Yes.
If you come with us,
Yes.
if you don't with the
if you come with you, if
with
you don't
come
without
you, and
yes.
if you oppose in spite of you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hindus will continue to fight
For a nation.
for the freedom of the nation.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes.
So, had this principle been accepted by Congress, then partition would not have happened. Partition has happened because Congress continued to appease Muslims. Correct? Vande Mataram, for example.
Yes.
One example is Vande Mataram. Savarkar declared in 1937, when the Muslims first raised the demand that Vande Mataram should be curtailed because it is Murti Puja.
Yes.
We cannot do idol worship.
Yes.
That time Savarkar said that the way Congress is appeasing Muslims, it will curtail Vande Mataram. And after 8 months, Vande Mataram was curtailed by Congress.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, correct.
So, between 1937 and 1945, Savarkar made numerous efforts to prevent India's partition. He kept on warning Hindu community. He kept on fighting the Congress on this issue. His main principle was that if you indulge in Muslim appeasement, India will suffer greatly in future.
Yes.
And in 1940, when Jinnah came up with the Pakistan resolution, that time Savarkar was the person who said, the way things are going, I won't be surprised if Pakistan succeeds in its demand for Pakistan. That time Congress leaders said partition will happen on our dead bodies. After 7 years, Savarkar was proved correct and these leaders were proved wrong.
Yes. Yes.
And first thing, Pakistan was granted within 15 days of the demand. 23rd March 1940, the demand was made by Jinnah at the Lahore meet of Muslim League.
Yes.
And on 6th April, within 15 days, Mahatma Gandhi wrote an article in which he opposed partition, but he said if 8 crore Muslims don't want to live in the country, how can I prevent them? So that day partition was granted. What happened? That on the day of partition, there were lots of Muslim leaders who were opposing Pakistan demand of Jinnah. On the day of this resolution in 1940, there were many leaders who opposed this resolution. So what Congress should have done, Congress should have made a front of anti-Pakistan leaders, Congress leaders, Muslim leaders. Instead, Congress chose to deal with Jinnah only.
Yes.
So Jinnah's height went up and the height of other leaders started coming down, those who were opposing partition. They also, as a result, to save their public life, their public image among the Muslims, they also joined Jinnah.
Yes.
That's how Pakistan was granted
Yes.
by Congress.
How can Savarkar can prevent this partition?
No, that is what I am saying.
Yes.
His efforts from 1937 to 1945. In 1944, he held an Akhand Hindustan conference
Okay.
in which leading intellectuals of the country supported Savarkar.
Yes.
Who were those intellectuals? Srinivas Shastri, Ramanand Chatterjee, editor of Modern Review, a great journal at that time, being published from Bengal. Radha Kumud Mukherjee, great historian. All these people were for Akhand Hindustan and they were in favor of, they used to consider Savarkar's strategy and objectives as very fair.
Yes.
So what I am trying to say is that had the population of this country followed Savarkar, then partition would not have happened.
Yes.
He made all the efforts.
But nowadays, these intellectuals from communist or pan-Islamist movement, they called Savarkar is the father of two-nation theory. They called
Absolutely wrong.
Yes.
All the allegations against Savarkar are properly answered in our book with lot of evidence.
Yes.
It is not that I like Savarkar and I have tried to defend him blindly. There is a lot of evidence, you know. You see his speech, which is being quoted, it is wrongly quoted, you know. There was a speech he gave at the Ahmedabad session of Hindu Mahasabha where he took over as president. It is his first presidential speech as Hindu Mahasabha president. In that, while explaining the situation, he was trying to say that Muslim League communalism has gone to such an extent that today there are two nations within the country, one Hindu and one Muslim. But he sees that as a disease. It is a disease which has to be cured and we can cure it. So that speech is being quoted out of context, correct? The father of two-nation theory first is Syed Ahmad Khan, the founder of Aligarh College, who in 1888 told a gathering of Muslims in Meerut that if tomorrow Britishers leave this country,
Hindus.
there cannot be two swords in one scabbard. One will have to defeat the other.
Okay.
And he said, in our case, means either Hindus have to defeat Muslims or Muslims have to defeat Hindus.
Yes.
He said, in our case, our Pathan brothers will come from northwest frontier province, help us, and we will defeat the Hindus, and we will do bloodshed right till Bengal.
Okay.
That is the language he used.
But
Then-
he is called a social reformer now.
He is called a social reformer.
Yes.
Then in 1930, Sir Muhammad Iqbal, whose poetry is being often cited in India, you know, by our poets,
Cited
without
in
knowing
house.
that he is one of the persons responsible for India's partition.
Yes.
In the 1930 Muslim League session of Prayagraj, Allahabad, he said that I see a future homeland for Muslims comprising today's Sindh, Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province and Baluchistan, same as today's Pakistan.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, yes, correct.
So, Savarkar is basically a unifier, and I may tell you one thing, why he is demonized. The more the thirst for Muslim votes the more the need to demonize Savarkar, because Savarkar is the biggest symbol of India's unity and integrity. Because all the national security problems which India has faced in the last 70 years, he had predicted 60 to 80 years ago. So he is the greatest visionary of India's national security, and we have called him the father of India's national security.
Yes.
So those who survive on divided India, fragmented India, ideologies which survive on fragmented India, parties which survive on fragmented India, for them Savarkar is the biggest threat.
Yes.
Because if Savarkar becomes, another thing, in Savarkar's ideology, there is nothing against common Muslim.
Yes.
Savarkar's ideology is unalloyed nationalism, where nation is first and then religion, caste and religious pride. Correct? So if those Muslims and Christians who want to live in the mainstream, if they also understand Savarkar's ideology, some of them might stop opposing him. So if Savarkar becomes the supreme leader of Indian masses, Indian youth, then their shop will get closed.
Yes.
Those who are surviving on fragmented India.
And I know in 1857, his book, his famous book, he told about Muslim nationalist Bahadur Shah, Begum Asad Mahal. He told everything about. I think first Savarkar told about this. Muslim
Azimullah
nationalist.
Khan.
Yes, yes, yes.
Brother Azimullah Khan,
Yes,
who was very close to Nana Sahib Peshwa.
yes,
So Savarkar, when Muslim communalism started rising, then and then he came out openly with his ideology, you know,
yes. In Andaman also there
to
is.
protect the Hindu interest.
Yes, in Andaman there is in jail there is conversion techniques going there.
Yes. So one of the main reasons, there are two reasons for Savarkar to evolve his ideology of Hindutva.
Yes,
One, that in jail he saw that Hindu prisoners were being converted by Muslim officials and Muslim prisoners
Yes.
together.
yes,
Correct? Secondly, Khilafat movement had already happened.
yes,
He wrote this book, Hindutva, in 1923.
yes.
In 1920, Khilafat happened. The kind of atrocities which were done on Hindus and Christians
In Kerala also.
in Kerala only.
Mainly
Yes.
Kerala. Yes.
So, Savarkar was getting those reports in the jail. Savarkar, by that time, I think he had shifted to Ratnagiri. Correct? So, he was getting those reports. Both Hindutva and RSS, it is my analysis, they happened because of Khilafat,
Yes.
because of the horrors of Khilafat.
Yes.
And Congress tried to play it down.
And also in national security about Mr. Savarkar told, he asked Hindus to join force, British force, because some allegations about that he is helping British.
No. He was looking at the future scenario of this country.
Yes.
He knew that the way Congress is appeasing Muslims and surrendering before Muslim League, partition might happen.
Yes.
So he was looking at the post-independence scenario. He saw it as an opportunity to strengthen Hindu interest
Yes.
against Muslim League communalism.
Yes.
And see the effect. Because of his call, lakhs of Hindus joined Indian army, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Now just imagine, at the time of independence, had they not joined, and India would have been weaker than Pakistan in military terms, what would have happened?
Yes.
They took away POK. They would have taken other areas also.
Yes.
In Rajasthan, we are sharing border in Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, everywhere.
I think 90% Muslim soldiers went to Pakistan.
Yes. 90%, yes. 90% soldiers went to Pakistan.
Maybe after that 1947 partition, maybe Pakistan will attack us. Already attacked, but
They would have attacked with more ferocity, they would have
Yes.
attacked more areas, and India would have lost more areas to Pakistan.
Yes.
Had Savarkar not launched that
movement.
the campaign to militarize Hindus,
Yes.
using the Second World War as an opportunity.
Yes. Udayji, one more question about clemency petitions. Actually, I know Savarkar already told all these things in his books before I think in his transportation of life also. He
There's
told
another
everything.
book called From the Darkness of Andaman.
Yes.
In that also he has said that
He already gave everything about
Yes.
these clemency
Yes,
petitions. But why the last 2 decades these
no,
people?
reason I have told you.
Yeah.
Those who survive on fragmented India,
Yes.
they have to I mean, automatically they have condemned Savarkar and demonized him. Because it is a case, it is a question of their survival. Correct?
Yes, yes,
But let me tell you how wrong are these allegations, how false they are.
yes.
Savarkar was a revolutionary. He cannot be weighed with the tools of Gandhi. You know Chhatrapati Shivaji,
Yes,
the greatest revolutionary, correct?
yes.
Chhatrapati Shivaji, when he died, he was ruling over an area whose length was 1600 kilometers. You know how much is his length? It is more than the distance between between Delhi and Kabul. It is more than the distance between Delhi and Ghur, from where Muhammad Ghori came and enslaved India. The distance between Kabul and Delhi is 1300 kilometers. The distance between Ghur and Delhi is 1525 kilometers. So it is more than the distance than these Muslim invaders, crossed to invade India. Correct?
Yes.
So he was a great king when Shivaji died. Such a person, as part of his Chanakya Niti, Krishna Niti, he had tendered 5 apologies to Aurangzeb in his career. Each apology had a Chanakya Niti or a Krishna Niti behind it.
Yes.
He had said his objective was independent Hindu kingdom. Whenever he used to feel that he is getting weak and Mughals are getting stronger, as part of his diplomacy, he used to tender apology and buy time to strengthen himself.
And also in Andaman, all the prisoners gave clemency petitions like Sachindranath Sanyal. All
So
the
Sachindranath Sanyal made the mercy petition on the advice of Savarkar.
yeah,
And he wrote, after he came out of the jail, he wrote that person who advised me did not get, was not released, but I have been released.
Gandhiji also told
Gandhiji supported.
Yes,
Gandhiji supported. When Narayan Rao Savarkar, Savarkar's brother, approached Gandhiji in 1920, that time Gandhiji supported. Gandhiji told Narayan Rao that you should write petitions and I will also help you. And he wrote an article in Young Leader, one of his publications. In that he wrote that if Bhai Pramanand, one revolutionary, he was given, he was freed following such a petition, If he can be freed, why not Savarkar and his brother Baba Rao?
that means in Savarkar brothers, 3 brothers, and whole Savarkar family gave everything to our nation for nationalism, for freedom movement, everything they gave. But they are demonized now. Actually, there is too much pain for nationalists.
No, you must understand one thing.
Yes.
When Savarkarji died, J.D. Joglekar, an expert on Savarkar's ideology and his life story, he wrote an article when Savarkar died, in which he described what Savarkar was, and then in the end, he wrote, "A prophet died in wilderness."
Yes. Okay.
So we have in our book, our last para is regarding this. We have said that in his agony,
Okay.
Joglekar forgot that the ultimate truth has to come out. Correct? And therefore we have written that when Gautam Buddha died, nobody knew him.
Yeah.
After 200 years, Emperor Ashok came, he embraced Buddhism, spread it across the world, and today Buddhism is the 4th largest religion in the world. And then we have said in our book, Savarkar era has arrived, finally.
What will be your advice to nationalist movement for Savarkar, about Savarkar?
So they should study Savarkar, the man who tried to prevent India's partition. They should draw inspiration from Savarkar's national security vision, because Savarkar's national security vision is the only, only Savarkar's national security vision can save India from divisive forces in future.
And,
So India is to survive as a nation. It has to embrace Savarkar's vision. That is my message for the youth.
Okay, another question. There is one allegation after 1924 and after 1937, after the house arrest, Savarkar doing nothing for Indian freedom
that
movement.
is all falsehood.
Yes.
In 1945, Shimla conference took place. It was called by Lord Wavell, the Viceroy.
Yeah.
And he did not invite Hindu Mahasabha and Savarkar. Do you know that? He did not invite Hindu Mahasabha and Savarkar. When N.B. Khare, the member of Viceroy's Executive Council, told Wavell, why you have not invited Savarkar and Hindu Mahasabha? He said they are greater enemies of British than Congress.
Okay. Okay, thank you, your valuable time, Udayji.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.